found himself reincarnated into a fantasy world that seemed to lag behind Earth in terms of civilization. As he opened his eyes, he noticed a serene ambience with candles illuminating the room, replacing the familiar LED bulbs of his previous life. The simplicity of this setting indicated that he had been born into a rather modest household. For a former orphan without a place to call home, it was a remarkably decent environment to begin his new life. Another reason that hinted at his birth into a privileged family was the breathtaking beauty of his birth mother, whose gaze met his with love and affection. Observing this, he couldn't help but feel fortunate, as it appeared that his future love life would be free from complications. 3 years passed, and he finally got a glimpse of the world outside his cradle, looking out through the window for the very first time. It was truly otherworldly. He was mesmerized by the vastness of the landscape that stretched out before his young eyes. Despite his tender age, the magnitude of the world he beheld was awe-inspiring. However, his brief adventure was abruptly interrupted as the nanny caught sight of his escapade. Acting swiftly, she scooped him up into her arms, her voice filled with worry. She told him that it was dangerous and the Grand Duke would be angry if he come to know about this. It was then that he learned of his family's prominence within the kingdom. They belonged to the esteemed Grand Duchy, a well-known entity throughout the realm. As the son of the Grand Duke Dragonia in the Kingdom of Lionheart, he held the title of a duke himself. As the years passed, he grew older, reaching the age of 8. During this time, he immersed himself in the study of swordsmanship, aspiring to become a knight in the kingdom. His ambition was that of a fantasy knight, envisioning a future filled with remarkable feats. He wondered if he would possess the ability to harness sword kai and aura. Under the tutelage of his master, Sir Gothic, a holy knight dispatched from the palace, his training began. Sir Gothic's presence commanded respect and admiration. Sir Gothic looked at him and greeted him as Leon, expressing satisfaction at the opportunity to teach him. Leon's mind buzzed with curiosity and wonder as he considered the significance of having a holy knight as his mentor. He expressed his gratitude, entrusting himself to the guidance and care of his esteemed instructor. At the age of 14 years, amidst the rigorous training, there were moments that tested his resolve. One particular occasion involved the arduous task of hauling a massive boulder tied with ropes. As he strained under the weight, frustration and exhaustion filled his thoughts. He couldn't help but question the methods employed by Sir Gothic, feeling that the intensity bordered on what he considered to be child abuse. Sir Gothic urged him to push further, commanding him to complete one more lap in their training. He continued his arduous journey and realized that a holy knight was not merely a noble figure, but a monster concealed beneath the human skin. The path to becoming a holy knight was incredibly challenging, demanding immense dedication and skill. He learned that qualifying to become a holy knight required not only rigorous quests and training but also a demonstration of experience, honor, and the ability to be chosen by the Holy Grail and consume its holy water. Additionally, as the son of Dragonia, his lineage dictated that he must also acquire extensive knowledge and skills necessary to become the successor of the Grand Duke. Thus, he faced the daunting task of balancing lessons on becoming a future Grand Duke alongside his training to become a holy knight. Feeling the weight of these responsibilities, he found himself yearning for salvation and wished for a god to save him, even though he held no particular faith or belief in any religion. At the age of 16, Leon walked through the rain, his gaze determined and focused. He had been roaming and searching for a way to be acknowledged by the goddess and fulfill his dream of becoming a holy knight. He believed that accepting his quest and venturing across the world would lead him to that ultimate recognition. The concept of gaining the goddess's acknowledgement intrigued him, although he found it somewhat implausible. The notion of accumulating fame and performing good deeds to attract her attention seemed far-fetched, but he remained resolute in his pursuit. His thoughts were abruptly interrupted by the sight of a burning village. The sound of desperate pleas for help and the chaos of orc attacks filled the air. Amidst the turmoil, a warrior called out to a certain Sir Gildas, expressing the overwhelming odds they faced against the orc horde. Desperation etched across his face, Sir Gildas called upon the goddess, imploring her to watch over them in their dire hour. Witnessing this scene, Leon's determination solidified. He realized that numerous opportunities awaited him to wield his sword and make a difference, which had been a cause for concern within him. With a surge of righteous fury, Leon directed his voice toward the invading orcs, condemning their audacity. He despised their intrusion into the kingdom's territory, their presence defiling the sanctity of its lands. In a swift and decisive strike, he vanquished one of the orcs, swiftly ending its life. As the battle raged on, Leon's realized that the kingdom had too many enemies. At the age of 20, Leon had a life-changing encounter. He met the goddess, Ariana, who addressed him by his full name, acknowledging his lineage as the son of Wulfric Dragonia. In her divine presence, Leon could not deny the reality of her existence. Ariana, the goddess, bestowed upon him a quest that would test his honor and faith. Overwhelmed by the momentous occasion, Leon humbly accepted her orders, bowing before her. With this encounter, his unwavering dedication and years of hard work finally bore fruit, as he ascended to become a holy knight. After that, he slayed and slayed. He slayed orcs, tore apart goblins, and slashed away the evil cult. Eventually, he became a war knight of the kingdom, giving him authority to gather other knights. He massacred 700,000 orcs, including women and children. He felt refreshed after exterminating these green creatures. At the age of 35, a great tragedy struck the renowned living saint and demigod, Arjun Majesty Lionheart. He fell in battle against the archdemon summoned by the Empire. With the relentless onslaught of orcs and now rampaging demons, the chaos served as a reminder of why humanity needed to believe in gods and live faithfully. Amidst the turmoil, the Empire's magicians added further complications. However, amidst the upheaval, a critical decision needed to be made. A new holy knight had to be elected to succeed the fallen King Lionheart, a figure who met his demise with honor. In the midst of this chaos, the goddess herself descended upon them, selecting Leon as the chosen one. Addressing him as Holy Knight Leon Dragonia, the goddess Ariana declared him her faithful knight and charged him with the role of becoming a symbol of honor and faith. In humble obedience, Leon bowed before Ariana, affirming his commitment to her command. Assuming the position of honor and bearing the weight of responsibility, Leon understood that he could not let down the kingdom's citizens or the knights who followed him. He transplanted the sacred treasure, the lion heart, bestowed upon him by the goddess, and made a solemn vow to protect the Holy Grail. Through these divine connections, he ascended to the esteemed positions of Grand Duke Dragonia and the King of the Lionheart Kingdom, shouldering the mantle of leadership and safeguarding the realm. At the age of 80 years, numerous significant events unfolded. 3 major wars erupted with the relentless orc forces, each one posing a formidable threat to the kingdom. Additionally, an unusual hunchback goblin evolved into an archdemon, adding to the already chaotic landscape. The Empire, with its questionable actions, continued to create further complications, exacerbating the already tense situation. A concerned knight approached Leon, delivering a report. The knight informed him of the Empire's school of dark magicians once again engaging in enforced experimentation. The Empire's affiliation with the Northern cult, an act deemed bastardly, fueled Leon's anger. How dare they attempt to distance themselves from the divine order? In his eyes, they were foolish divine separatist bastards. Responding swiftly to the news, Leon issued a command to gather the knights. At the age of 96 years, the Empire had finally crossed the line. The Emperor, driven by desperation, resorted to a heinous act. Uttering incomprehensible words, he made a plea, offering 3 million lives as sacrifices in exchange for his request. The Emperor, who once claimed he did not wish to die, crossed the line of no return and committed suicide along with 3 million citizens from the capital and unleashed chaos, summoning the Lord of Chaos within the city's walls. In the face of this unimaginable catastrophe, Leon rallied his knights. With resolve in his heart, he stepped forward, grasping the holy sword that still bore traces of orc grease from battles fought just the previous year. Determined to bring justice and restore order, Leon issued a commanding order to his loyal knights to follow him to the Empire. At the age of 121 years, Leon devoted his utmost efforts to protect the world from destruction. But he could not stop it from being destroyed. Despite his valiant attempts to defeat the forces of evil with the full extent of holiness present on the continent, he found himself unable to halt their relentless advance. Seated on his knees, Leon was approached by Sir Aaron, a knight who addressed him respectfully. Leon acknowledged the fallen knight's honor. He told Sir Aaron to be proud of his father as he had died with honor and had joined the feast of the gods. Addressing his troops, Leon implored them to look ahead, listening to the sounds of villains echoing across the land. The ones who had stolen their brothers, taken away their loved ones, and sought to violate everything they held dear. He called for everlasting rage, directing their anger towards those foolishly deceived by the illusion of victory. In a moment of reflection, Leon recognized the fear trembling within the hearts of his people. The women comforted their weeping children, the youth gathered flickering flames of resistance, and the knights tried to sow seeds of hope in a blood-soaked wasteland. Yet, as the first knight of the goddess, armed with the holy sword, spear, and grail, he acknowledged his inability to fully extinguish the far-reaching evil that had consumed the world. He sought guidance and direction from his beloved goddess, uncertain of what action he should take. With conviction, Leon rallied his army, reminding them that as long as they possessed honor, they would not be defeated. For the goddess, for honor, they would fight. In response, the voice of the goddess reassured him, declaring her presence with him until the very end. Charging forward, Leon and his army engaged in the final battle against billions of devils that had overrun the earth. Barbarian slaves were used as sacrificial shields, while civilian knights armed with spears and shields fell with honor alongside the glorious knights. As the chosen agent of all gods and holy temples, Leon stood alone and tore apart countless demon lords and archdemons, demonstrating the true power of a holy knight. At the age of 217 years, the bitter winter had yet to end. Years passed by in the blink of an eye, and at the age of 256, Leon found himself facing the last remaining demon gate. With its destruction, there was no longer anywhere for the demons to escape. Leon gazed upon the demons standing before him and referred to them as poor and lowly servants of evil. He declared that they were now trapped with him and vowed to eliminate every single one of them. Contrary to what one might think, it wasn't Leon who was stuck within the gate. Instead, it was the demons who were trapped here with him. He couldn't help but express his anger by labeling them as bastards. At the age of 300 years, Leon, the valiant holy knight, stood triumphant before a powerful archdemon. With a single stroke, he effortlessly sliced through the formidable creature, leaving it defeated at his feet. At a distance from the archdemon's lifeless body, there was a group of people. Section Chief Kim anxiously called out to Hari, expressing concern for her well-being. Hari, still disoriented, asked what had happened. In response, Section Chief Kim excitedly exclaimed that that man had defeated the archdemon with a single slash. Leon stood before them, and with a firm voice, he urged them to rise and continue fighting, emphasizing that now was not the time to falter. Intrigued by his presence, Hari and Kim questioned Leon, asking who he was. Positioned near the lifeless head of the archdemon, Leon identified himself as King Lionheart, the Knight of the Glorious Knights, and the agent tasked with carrying out the will of the holy temples, Leon Dragonia Lionheart. Nari, taken aback by Leon's naked appearance, looked on in shock. Remarkably, it had been 300 years since Leon had encountered the people from Earth. A notification suddenly appeared, indicating that all the demons had been defeated. And that was how the Night King returned. A gate mysteriously appeared in the heart of Seoul, its rank shrouded in an unidentifiable black hue. The Korean Hunter Association and the World Hunter Association urgently requested the participation of the nation's large guilds in a raid on the gate. However, due to the unknown difficulty level, the requests were denied. In the end, the government ordered the Korean Hunter Association to take the lead and go in first, which was effectively an execution order. And inside the gate, what Hari saw was a naked man, with countless dead demons lying behind him. Han Hari, the associate manager of the Korean Hunter Association, who was lost in her thoughts, was startled by someone calling out to her. It was Kim Jinsu, the head manager, who handed her a cup of coffee, acknowledging her fatigue. Hari expressed her gratitude and confirmed her exhaustion. Kim inquired about her well-being and the situation at hand. Hari lamented that no one seemed to believe their account of what they had witnessed inside the gate. Kim understood the skepticism, considering that it was a black-rank demon gate, even housing the mighty Great Devil. It was clear that their success, defying all odds and returning alive without the assistance of other guilds, was nothing short of a miracle. But they had even managed to clear it, and this was possible all because of one man. Hari and Kim stood outside the interrogation room window and observed the ongoing interrogation of Leon. There were occasional people who managed to survive in the gate realm. Over the past 30 years, similar gates had appeared worldwide, and the theme of those worlds was a world on the brink of destruction or a world that had already been destroyed. Sometimes, survivors managed to return back to Earth while retaining the incredible strength they had acquired in the demon realm. Recognizing the value of these individuals, the government made efforts to accommodate their needs and devised plans to recruit them. Hari emphasized the importance of scouting these survivors, especially the person they were currently interrogating, as he possessed remarkable strength. Kim agreed, acknowledging that even a rank hunter would face life-threatening risks when confronting a high-ranking demon. However, Leon had slain the Great Devil with a single attack, overpowering a monster that even the most skilled S-rank hunters feared. Kim expressed his concern about the cultural differences they might encounter given the way Leon referred to himself, possibly indicating royalty or similar status. Hari remained optimistic and believed that everything would be fine. When Kim questioned her basis for such optimism, she explained that she could sense it in Leon's voice, perceiving him as a genuinely good person. However, their conversation was abruptly interrupted as Leon unleashed a powerful shout, causing the immense glass window of the interrogation room to shatter. Both Hari and Kim were astonished by the display of raw power, realizing that even the unbreakable glass meant to contain monstrous beings had been shattered. Leon rose to his feet and criticized those present for tarnishing the esteemed Lionheart name. Observing the chaotic scene, Kim questioned Hari's earlier statement about Leon being a very good person. Hari, taken aback by the unexpected turn of events, attributed it to a cultural difference, unsure how to explain Leon's outbursts. 15 minutes earlier, Leon sat in the interrogation room, reflecting on his unfamiliar surroundings. He acknowledged that feeling foreign was expected, considering his past experiences. He was an orphan who toiled through his 20s and eventually died from exhaustion. He was then reincarnated into another world, where he became a king and knight of a kingdom for over a century. After conquering the demon world, he spent 200 years hunting demons, totaling 300 years in total. Despite the differences, Leon found some relief in having memories of this place. His thoughts were interrupted by a bald officer who sat in front of him and greeted him as Leon Dragonia Lionheart. Leon realized that revealing the fact that he used to be an Earthling wouldn't benefit him. Instead, he believed it would be more advantageous to present himself as a Night King who had lived 300 years in the other world, rather than a young man who died from overworking himself. Thus, he responded in an authoritative tone, instructing the officer to refer to him as Your Majesty and called the bald officer peasant. The bald officer initially appeared puzzled but quickly complied with Leon's request. Leon contemplated whether the officer's compliance stemmed from genuine kindness or if the government had specific protocols for approaching survivors like him. The officer then asked about the Black Gate and if Leon had killed all the demons. Leon confirmed that he had indeed killed all the demons and protected the honor of the knights. He bestowed the temporary role of his secretary upon the officer, granting him the privilege of recording this glorious incident. The bald officer, sweating profusely, struggled to maintain composure and mumbled in agreement. In his thoughts, he concluded that Leon was talking like that because of the cultural differences. Leon then expressed his concern about the lack of etiquette rules for treating royalty in this world. The bald officer understood that Leon must be hungry and quickly dialed a number to arrange a meal. Curious about the current state of the world, Leon asked the officer to provide an explanation. He wanted to understand what had transpired on Earth during his absence. The bald officer began explaining the events that unfolded 30 years ago. Gates started opening all around the world, unleashing monsters and demons upon Earth. Since then, the world has been in a constant state of emergency. After taking a lot of losses, they discovered that each gate had a theme and a clear quest associated with it. They also learned that leaving a gate unattended would lead to a dungeon break, where monsters would invade Earth. The officer heard a knock on the door and got up, and he mentioned that the meal was likely ready. He excused himself to retrieve it. While he was away, Leon contemplated the difference between the demon invasions in his world and this world. In his world, the demons invaded like mushrooms after the rain. But in this world, there were gates with themes and quests. It was as if the purpose of these gates was to train humans through trials. The bald officer returned and informed Leon that the meal was ready. Leon looked at the meal and saw that it was a bone broth boiled for hours that was topped with salt and pepper and some crunchy kimchi. It was xiaoliangtang. When he was a laborer on Earth, xiaoliangtang was like soul food for him. People generally enjoy familiar food compared to new dishes, but Leon forced himself to swallow down the saliva accumulating in his mouth. He questioned the bald officer in an angry tone, demanding to know what the dish was. The officer explained that it was xiaoliangtang, known as the soul food of peasants. This response infuriated Leon, and his eyes glowed with anger. He unleashed his fury by smashing a table with a powerful punch. Leon shouted at the officer, criticizing him for sullying the glorious Lionheart name by serving him a peasant's dish. Leon Dragonia Lionheart was a royal from the other world, a proxy for the gods, guardian of the Holy Grail, and the owner of the Holy Blade and the Holy Spear. He dismissed the officer as an inferior peasant and ordered him to leave. Malice, the Lord of Chaos, and the Lord of the 23 Great Devils, the arch-nemesis of the demons, who had killed millions of demons, the incarnation of the history of the 300-year war itself, and lastly, a returner who used to be an Earthling. What he thought after he returned to Earth 300 years was that everything was a mess. He attributed the chaos to the lack of proper religious faith, and saw it as his duty as a member of the royal family to enlighten the foolish peasants. Because despite returning to Earth, he was still a Night King. Leon gracefully cut a steak and savored it with elegance. Kim attentively observed his actions, intrigued by his ability to distinguish their meal of chicken and black bean noodles. Hari felt relieved and commented that Leon was actually enjoying a T-bone steak paired with a bottle of red wine from 1993. Kim then urged Hari to proceed and mentioned that perhaps Leon was more interested in her. After all, she had received a compliment, being called brave, and at least he wouldn't dismiss her outright. Hari was slightly hesitant and replied that Leon had only praised her for her bravery. Summoning her courage, Hari opened the door and addressed Leon with deep apologies for interrupting his meal. Leon, while wiping his mouth with a cloth, recognized Hari as the swordsman from before. He commanded her to sit, and Hari, wearing a delighted expression, secretly signaled her triumph to Kim through the security cameras. Taking a seat, Hari inquired if the meal had met Leon's expectations. In response, Leon admitted that it wasn't bad and appreciated the chef's sincerity and finesse. However, he clarified that his initial treatment of them wasn't due to the simplicity of the food, but rather their attitude towards the king. According to Leon, when greeting royalty from a foreign nation, proper respect and protocol should be observed, reflecting the stature of their own country. Hari was taken aback and realized her lack of knowledge had led to her unintentional disrespect. Leon asked if her name was Han, to which she confirmed that her name was Han Hari. Leon mentioned that he had heard about this world and the appearance of demons, those wicked creatures that had infiltrated Earth. Hari acknowledged his statement, affirming that demons had indeed made their presence known. Unbeknownst to Leon, Hari had a single mission: to convince him to join the Hunter Association. Her thoughts raced, realizing the importance of persuading him to align with their country. With determination, she proposed that if Leon granted them his royal permission, the South Korean government could take responsibility for his well-being from that point onward. In the ongoing intelligence war of the 21st century, the objective was to recruit survivors and prevent them from joining other nations. Curious about the terms of settling in this world, Leon asked whether it would be his duty to enter the battlefield. He further added that since he was an honorable knight, it was right for him to fight. Hari was filled with hope and inquired if he would be willing to affiliate himself with their Hunters Association. However, Leon's expression turned resolute as he declared that a king could not serve as a soldier in another nation's military. Instead, he proclaimed his intention to establish a new knight's order within this world. Hari was taken aback by Leon's decision, leaving her with no choice but to nod in response. Hari turned to Kim with an urgent question, asking what the higher-ups had said regarding their situation. Kim replied that there wasn't much they could say but emphasized the need to provide as much support as possible. Hari expressed her relief that Leon hadn't joined another country or a powerful guild, noting that it was disheartening for the government-affiliated association to bow down to him. She burned with anger, blaming the large guilds who flaunted their wealth and influence for the current state of affairs. As the conversation continued, an alarm suddenly started beeping, startling both Hari and Kim. They exclaimed in surprise, and on their mobile device, a system notification urgently warned about a dungeon break occurring at the Hanam Plains. Kim read the message, explaining that if a dungeon break happened at a granary location, the influx of demonic energy would disrupt food production. Hari said that the Phoenix Guild's S-rank hunter Lee Yongwon would be able to handle an orange-colored gate without difficulty. However, Kim was filled with anger and suspected that these guild members had a different plan in mind. They needed to act quickly to prevent the catastrophe. Kim cursed the Phoenix Guild and expressed his frustration toward them. Unbeknownst to Hari and Kim, Leon, who was listening attentively beyond the door, grasped the gravity of the situation. He understood that if a dungeon break occurred, it would infect the ground and hinder crop growth. Sensing some energy in his surroundings, Leon thought to himself that it was just as he expected. This place lacked that particular energy. He then directed his thoughts towards someone named Demira, asking if they were well. Somewhere far away, a girl in green clothes looked back and smiled faintly.